Radio Zero.
It's Radio Zero with Rick and Rose for October 8th, 2021. And Rick does not look a day over 60
That's right. I'm
Today.
trying.
today.
You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or go to radiozero.us. We're live streaming on Facebook, on the Radio Zero page, and the Poster Children page, on Twitch, hopefully at PCJCUSA, and on the Poster Children YouTube channel. And you can patronize us at patreon.com/Radio Zero. Thank you for all of our current patronizers.
Greetings, Dannon. Okay. So wait, I got to click on this too. So you are 55 today. What does that mean to you?
Not a lot.
Did you ever think you would be this old?
No, I didn't think about it. That seems pretty far away.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I ever thought I would be 27. And then all that's like when we used to, you'd like our first record contract, let's say, with Mike Potential, right? And you were like, well, 5 years from now, this music, this has got to revert back to us. And I was like, 5 years? Who's going to be alive in 5 years? But we were. Larry says, happy birthday to you, Rick. And
Thank you.
so does Heidi.
Thank you.
So good. All right. Well, what are some of your most memorable birthdays?
Well, I talked about the birthday I had in Indonesia where no one knew it was my birthday. That was a great birthday.
You didn't tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was on a work
like-
trip,
like
6
your
weeks in
secret.
Indonesia, and then we went to a mall, and the mall on the top floor of the mall had a bumper car track. What would you call that? A bumper car? Is it a track? I guess it's a track. And so we ate, I think we had eaten dinner at the restaurant down from the hotel. The Patra Jasa, I believe, is the name of the hotel. Wow, it had a bowling alley. It was actually great. The hotel we stayed in, it was the European American hotel, and then there was the Japanese hotel, right, which was super fancy, and that was for all the golfers from Japan. And then we stayed in the American hotel, and like I said, it had karaoke and had bowling. It was amazing, and then had a restaurant. And we would go there every night and order, what is it, sapi bakar? I think it was some kind of like barbecue beef thing. And at some point, they couldn't serve it to us anymore because they ran out of meat. It was like these Americans
keep eating all the meat.
Yeah, they'd show up, and we realized we were causing more trouble than, sort of help. But then, we went down the road to the mall, which was small by American standards, but large by contemporary standards, I would say. It had as much floor space occupied as a mall, a current mall does in the United States.
Oh, man.
So it was a very small tower, I think 6 floors. And the top floor was the bumper car track, and we rode bumper cars. It was a great night.
Were they kind of short for you?
The bumper cars?
Yeah.
I think bumper cars are standardized.
Oh, okay.
But and it was strange because we were not in the capital. We were in Semarang, which is like the Chicago of Indonesia.
What were you
Java.
doing there?
I was working on a flight simulator.
Yeah.
And a flight simulator that was supposed to be finished. And for those of you working in the hardware-software world at the time, they finished the hardware. The hardware was supposed to be done a year before, and then the deadline, and then we were supposed to finish off the software. But what happened was the hardware pretty much got finished at that deadline, and so then they had to ship a bunch of
Software engineers
to sit there as it was being installed to program.
Yeah.
And
You were programming. Was that a C++ or was that
No,
an assembler?
It was still assembler.
Yeah. I loved programming in assembler.
We taunted the guy who had Windows. He had decided he
Right.
was going to use Windows. and
Windows 3.11.
So we had a Mac at home, but like for professional work, it was like, no, you don't use a graphical user interface to program a flight simulator. And this guy had Windows, I don't know what it was, 2.0.
We were writing. I think that one had. We were writing our own operating system too for it. So we had motherboards. That we had like a couple of motherboards.
We kept adding motherboards to that freaking
Yeah.
helicopter.
Yeah.
It was astounding. And then the sixth one, was it, on the theory that it would, like some kind of chaos theory based
thing,
thing,
yeah,
it would
yeah,
stop
'cause
crashing if
it would
we added more.
Yeah. So
That
the
was-
flight simulator would crash. You'd run it, and I'm sure we have 3 Radio Zeros about this, right? And I wrote this in my book, that's coming out next year. The flight simulator would just crash sometimes. It could run for 3 hours or it could run for 3 days, and then it would just crash. And you'd be like, it would just stop working, and you'd be like, oh. And so you'd put these little print statements all throughout the code, to print to, and then you'd have a little monitor, and so you'd have like print A here, print B here, print C. You like just print through the tens of thousands of lines of code, and then so you just see these strings of letters coming out, and then the last one before the crash might be where the code was in error, or maybe not.
One thing I remember about
I love computer programming.
being in Indonesia at that time was that especially when we traveled and on the weekend we'd go sightseeing and students, kids, grade school and high school students would come up to us and talk to us and touch us, and it was still relatively weird to see a American or European person hanging out like if you were in I'm totally blanking on the Jakarta, right? Yeah. Like when you're in the major city, it wasn't as unusual, but being in these smaller towns or being in these tourist attractions, they didn't have that many tourists in these smaller places that were from the U.S. and Europe, and so we were kind of a novelty. And that's what I remember being at the mall. It was a great experience, in fact, to be the outsider, right? Just by your physical.
Because people shunned you and thought you were stealing
but that
things.
that's the thing. It was nice because we were not treated as freaks of nature, like you would be in Japan, for instance, right?
I do remember going into like a ladies' bathroom in Japan, and then
They were like screaming that a
there-
monster.
well, yeah,
a
because
monster
all
was
the
in the
ladies
bathroom.
like came up to my waist, like that's like people. They were that tall.
Well, that
I'm
was
so tall.
the guide, the American that showed us around Tokyo a few years later. Yeah, he was taller than me. He must have been like 6'5",
yeah.
and it was like it was weird to see him. He lived there, but he just kind of like traipsing through, and you could see him everywhere. He'd be in a crowd on the subway,
Well,
and he was just this. Like
Stood
we were
out.
sore thumbs, but
Yeah.
he was the sorest thumb, the
was-
big toe, the sore big toe wandering around, having a 6'5" bald white guy wandering around. Other birthdays I'm trying to remember. I remember going to the airport once to watch airplanes land. My parents took me and a couple of friends to see that.
Now, do you, Goyish people, do you non-Jews have like a 13th birthday type thing? You have like a bar mitzvah that they do to you
No.
on a birthday? You don't have anything like that at all?
No, I didn't. I mean, I had, because I was Episcopalian, I mean, it's similar to Catholics. I mean, I had communion. And I think I got something. I may have gotten some presents
You
during
have to
that.
study for that?
Yeah, but it's not as intense as it is for, like a bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah or for a Catholic kid, right? Because it's Episcopalian. It's well, I guess it was somewhat intensive, but it just didn't feel as important as the Catholic kids were going through. It's what the Catholic kids were going through, I guess.
Okay.
got an electric razor when I graduated high school.
For your birthday?
No, for graduation.
For
That was a
graduation.
big event, graduation.
Ah, yeah.
Um,
This seems like a big birthday, though. Like, the 55.
does it? Why? Oh, like I can
You
be in
can-
the AARP now?
Yeah, I think that you can get like a senior discount. Although
Do you
they
think I
don't-
could have gotten a cheaper movie ticket?
Oh no,
Wow.
no, I don't
No,
think you
they
could.
don't do
no,
that.
no, you're not old enough for that.
12-year-olds considered an adult
Yeah,
at our
yeah.
local movie theater.
Yeah, they're
Or
tamping down on
non-local.
that.
It's semi-local.
Yeah.
It's a smaller chain than AMC.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so
I'm trying to think of other birthdays I had. Did I have a birthday on tour?
I'm sure
I'm sure I
we've
did.
had
I
multiple
don't remember.
birthdays on tour. That
Probably
could
all the
be-
time, right? That's probably why I don't
Yeah.
remember. It's
Yeah,
because
we were on tour.
we were on tour and that's all just one big blur. So yeah, on tour we would have done something special like gotten a pizza or gone to a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, probably not.
and played a
Maybe
show.
gone to a Mexican restaurant. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, I was just talking to like a prospective family, like prospective student coming to ISU, and the dad was like, "So you were in a band?" And I was like, "Yes." And it's like the dad is from around the Midwest, like around middle of Illinois and stuff, and he was like being really, really friendly and stuff, and so I was like, oh, maybe he knows, like, because you never, like, how did people find out about our program, right? So he's like, what band? And I was like, Poster Children. Usually I go, oh, you haven't heard of us, but I was like, Poster Children, and he goes, no, sorry.
Sorry. Sorry. It's like you asked.
I know.
It's like don't apologize to me.
Sorry, I never heard of you.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry you
I'm
asked
really
the question.
sorry. But really nice guy. Really, I was just like, at that point, I was like, rats. I wish you had heard of me. Because
That would have
generally, I'm not going to say the poster. I'm not going to divulge the name of the band unless I'm sure you've heard of me.
Right.
And then you get the, oh my God, you're Rose from Poster Children. Like that. Oh wow, I didn't recognize you under the mask. So I don't usually, if it's like, it's like, oh, band, what type of music did you play? And then you're like, oh, I played, and look at the person. Oh, I played punk rock. So you've never heard of me, and then they're like, oh, what's the name? You never heard of us. Don't worry about it. But this, I went the distance. I had a good day today. And so I was like, Poster Children. No, sorry. So.
I remembered another good birthday.
Okay.
Um,
Let's hear it.
my parents rented a movie projector
What?
and silent films, and they projected old silent films in our basement.
For your birthday?
Yeah, when I was little.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the kind of stuff, like they would do the kind of stuff that like people would do now when they read a blog, right? It's like, oh, this is, interesting things to do for your kids' birthdays, but it was back when, you'd have to get a book,
Yeah. Yeah.
a Dover publication about birthday parties and recommendations, stuff like that.
You'd take it out from the library,
Right,
probably.
yeah. Dover publication from
Yeah.
the library.
Yeah.
So it was much more novel.
Well, thank you for listening.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have more exciting. I just don't remember
sorry.
my birthdays, really.
Sorry,
It's-
Rick.
Sorry. Sorry.
I'm really sorry. I've never heard of you. I wish I had, because you look at like an interesting person. Yeah. Yeah, it's embarrassing. Like I love that we have fans and everything like that. And we're like, this is like when we were at the Touch and Go, 20th or 50th reunion, whatever that was, right? We were sitting there and like I was talking to Wanje and stuff, and we were like, this is our music, we know about this music, this is ours. And feel like it's so special for us and stuff like that. Oh, I just got electrocuted. And I don't remember where I was going with that. I don't remember. Never mind.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is it's not going to be unusual in the future. I mean, it's like, unless you're who was on like Saturday Night Live this weekend?
It was somebody that you didn't know.
Casey
You guys,
Musgraves,
you were
right?
No,
And
you
so
were
it's like,
complaining.
unless you're, no, I had no idea who she was. So even that, it's like the people who are famous, the number of musicians that are going to be universally known, across a generation.
Oh, it's going to be less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own
what-
little
was
thing
that-
that they like.
So, because I heard you came and you were like some country singer, and it wasn't even good. It was so terrible, and that it was like I can't remember how you were describing it. There was nothing interesting about it at all. You were really ragging on it, and then like the next day, you're like, I just found out she was naked.
Yeah, like both the youngest, the 12-year-old, and I, were like complaining about the music, but we were obviously both on our phones and didn't even notice that she was naked while she was playing. She was behind a guitar and everything like that, but that's all anyone was talking about after the show. But it was also the lowest rated show ever in Saturday Night Live's history. So poor Owen Wilson gets to, he
That's
finally
terrible.
hosts it, and he's like, I don't want to host it. I'm not good at that kind of stuff. I don't like it. And he was fine. But then, the next day, finding out, it's the lowest rated.
People just not know that.
Yeah, and they don't care. I think it's the same thing. It's like some kind of universal media experience, like Saturday Night Live. Even though, the only reason why I'm watching it is because of a
You're
12-year-old,
55.
right? Yeah.
Oh.
So I have huge gaps. Like even when people talk about Norm Macdonald and everything like that, I never watched it when he was on. I mean, I knew who he was. I may have watched one episode, but I was on tour. I wasn't 12. It doesn't resonate with me. Dennis Miller even, it was too old for that. So they're just like certain periods of time, where it's like, oh yeah, no, I remember, Tim Kazurinsky. I got really excited when I got to meet Tim Kazurinsky that one time because he was on Saturday Night Live when I was, in my formative years, and I watched it. And it was like, other people would be like, who? And it's like, for me, it's really exciting. But now, I think with so much accessible, just being able to access comedy and your sense of humor, right? I mean, it's really hard for those universals to even punch through.
But meanwhile, there's like comedy at our local rock club.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
which I haven't.
So there's
gone to
local
see, but
comedy. Yeah.
All right.
It's just like local music, right? And indie music and indie comedy, and then there's
Sorry,
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't heard of you. Sorry.
Exactly.
Uh,
So
April is saying we have too many choices of entertainment
Yeah.
now.
yeah,
Can there ever be too many though?
there can. I mean, that's the thing is like, I've like chewed through a huge number of TV shows while I'm working on stuff, and it's amazing how much stuff's out there. The 12-year-old and I just finished the second season of Ted Lasso, and
Is that
What?
is it worth it? Should I watch that?
I think the first season's worth it. The second season, they're experimenting and branching out. I like, it's the kind of thing where once you get, into the characters, then you're invested. It's got
Yeah.
that soap opera aspect, but
Are
definitely
there
the
any-
first half of the first season is really amazing.
Are there any women in it?
Yeah, there are lots of women
Oh,
in it.
okay. All right. Maybe I'll
Yeah,
watch
even
it
though it's
then.
about football,
Yeah.
it's there are women, yes, and in fact, it seems like they're really, really. I mean, they're not just doing the superficial Bechdel conversation. It's like, okay, we gotta have these two women talk to each other more every episode.
I made it through. I don't watch TV. But I made a commitment to watching the whole newsroom. It didn't offend me. I watched through the whole thing, and now I'm on the last episode, the last 10 minutes of it, and I haven't finished watching it just because I was crying a lot.
Oh. And that's like 10 years old, right?
I know, yeah, it's 10 years old, but it's about news that was 10 years old before that too. This is a little bit historic, and the teenager and I were like trying to figure out why people didn't like it. Like it's Aaron Sorkin.
I can tell you, I think.
Yeah, why?
I
I'd
think
like to know
because, well, it was still, when you saw the historical stuff, it was current events, right? And so they were talking
Yeah.
about current events, and
Yeah.
but it was always delayed. It wasn't like they wrote the show a week after that stuff happened. And so it would have been stuff that was from the past year, right, that happened in the news.
Yeah.
but there was still that delay, the production delay.
So
So,
that was the problem?
well, I think
Just-
that's somewhat of a problem where it's kind of like, oh, this is old news and it's not history yet, and it's like it was an interesting convention, but it would have been more interesting. And maybe I'm wrong about this the way it was written, but I feel like it was not, if you actually did a show where you would, write in some ways kind of like Saturday Night Live, right? Where you would write reacting to the current events,
Yeah.
but write a narrative with those current events. And maybe that is what they did, but I don't know.
I think it's weird because I kind of enjoyed it. I went through all of it and I crocheted while I watched it.
Yeah, well, that's
And I like the main actor was pretty cool. So I was just trying to figure out why we didn't care more about it. Why you didn't care more about it? And do we hate and do we not like Aaron Sorkin?
Honestly-
I like Aaron Sorkin.
honestly, it may have been
think.
because we got a free HBO subscription for a year, and then I did not.
Dannon liked the newsroom.
Yeah, I probably did not want to make a $60 a month commitment or
Ah.
whatever it was for HBO, right?
I had to like calibrate myself too because it was just like Saddam Hussein just got killed. Yes, let's talk about it on the news. I love you. Oh, I don't love you. And this is just like, wait, what? What? Can you get back to the news and the politics? It's just like, here's
Yeah.
another person who loves another person. Ooh. So like a little bit of soap opera stuff. And I was like, I don't need to hear about that bullshit. Come on. So I had to recalibrate myself and be like, oh, I wonder if that other person loves that person. And then there's the pretty girl who's smart, so, oh, wow, there's a pretty girl that's smart. I'll watch her. So I can't remember the woman's name, Savannah or Sabrina or something like that. I like that, like a woman who spoke fluent Japanese and she was real smart. And then there was like a couple of episodes where everybody was really mean to each other, and I was thinking that it was kind of like Veep a little bit, which I really enjoyed a lot. And then I hated that it ended. And I don't like watching these because they end.
Yeah, they go away. Your friends.
My friends go away. Yeah. So that's right. There's a new Rick Powers book. Like, are you interested in that at all?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, it would involve me reading a book.
Yeah. You
And
should
that's
do
just
that.
so 20th century and previous centuries.
Right. Yeah.
That's like the previous 500 years. This
Yeah.
is the 21st century reading a book.
Where we don't read a book.
What's
Okay.
that?
What's well, you could probably listen to it. Maybe he's narrated it.
I listened to part of an interview with him,
Yeah.
a podcast
Yeah.
with Richard Powers on it. That's
He's-
what we do now. We listen to podcasts. We don't read
I'm gonna
books.
read the book, and then
Yeah.
I'm gonna be sad when it's
You're good.
over, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna be like, oh, all these people are gone now, and he probably has somebody who died, and then I'll be mad at him. Why did you kill that character? So okay, so what else? What else have you been doing?
I like how you say the absolute. Okay, let's move on, and then there's nowhere to go. It's like,
Yeah, there's
okay,
nothing.
let's
Books
go
are
out
for
this
old
door,
people.
and
Oh,
then
Chris,
there's like a
Chris
like a
Schneber
ledge.
says books are for old people.
Yeah.
Rick and I, right before we did, so we've been running around like crazy, like all day. I had my favorite capoeira instructor came and gave a workshop this morning. So, and my only capoeira instructor and my favorite capoeira instructor. And I was terrified, like there
try to
wouldn't.
dig yourself out of that hole.
Oh, whatever. I'm always in a. You know what I'm learning, is that I'm always in a hole, and it's okay.
And
I just always do
What-
things wrong,
I,
and it's
I woke
okay.
up this morning and I realized I'm always in the hole, and there's a shovel in my hand. Did you realize that yet?
and then I'm digging a bigger hole.
Yeah, the hole
Is that- yeah.
you're the one digging the hole.
No.
No,
So this
absolutely not.
is no. Listen.
People
listen.
have put me in this hole.
That I'm in the hole. Whatever. Let's say you have a work partner, okay, or a boss. Let's say you have a boss, and you're always doing something wrong, and the boss is always pissed off at you.
I mean, it's not that bad for me. You're doing a pretty good job.
I am your boss. Like I'm your boss.
I'm really, touched though that you're trying to have some empathy with my situation.
I was talking.
That's
to,
really important.
I
as a
was
boss.
talking to my favorite capoeira instructor's wife about you. And today, actually, we were talking about you, and
Nothing good, I'm
that
sure.
person was wondering what it was like for you to be bossed around by your wife. And I was
Bossed
like,
around.
I'm not really your boss.
No, it's not that type of situation.
No, not at all. All right. Well, so
Because I'm basically ungovernable. I'm unbossable.
well, yeah, that's because you have tenure,
That's
Senator
right.
Valentin.
That's right. There is that's unfair. I mean,
But she's like, well, what can you tell him to do? And I was like, isn't it a conflict of interest? And I was thinking, yeah, it is kind of a conflict of, and the other thing is, if you and I were in charge of the program, that would be totally messed up for everybody else in the program, probably, right? They'd probably feel weird.
Oh yeah.
They
it'd be
shouldn't.
strange.
And they probably wouldn't because they're such good people. But oh, no, I can't remember where I was going with this. But theoretically, I could tell you what classes that you had to teach.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then you
But
could
let's
also,
not talk. You were talking about somebody else who's.
oh yeah, no,
your
like
boss.
yeah. So if I make I make mistakes constantly, and it's okay. That this is the only place where it's okay usually. And
You're
actually,
talking about capoeira.
yeah, I'm talking about
Oh,
capoeira.
okay.
I make mistakes constantly. Like I'm just make mistakes. And when I first started, I would be like, I didn't make the mistake. I didn't do that wrong, and I'd fight and I'd argue and stuff, and then I'd really get in trouble. And then after a while, I was like, well, and I had the same fight with Master Hyung too, my favorite Taekwondo instructor. Once I'm unable to make mistakes. It's like the end of the world. Where does somebody learn that? I talked about this too. Like I remember one of my earliest memories was driving around with you when we were 5 in the car. I was driving around with you, and you were with me for some reason, and I had to drop off my sister to a party. And she didn't know where the party was, and I was getting madder and madder at her. And I was like embarrassed, and I was horrified in front of you. I was like, oh my God, Rick's going to hate me now because I don't know, because my sister didn't know where the party was. How could you need me? She's a teenager, right? She needed me to drive her to the party. And
Yeah.
that was what I had to do. And like, how could this happen? And you were like, it's okay. What are you getting so mad about? And I was like, what do you mean? It's a mistake. How could she make a mistake like this? My parents would kill us if we didn't know where we were supposed to be taken to a party. Like we inconvenienced them. And you were just like,
so there's the
"Oh,
answer
it's
to your
okay."
question. Where did you learn this?
Yeah, well, not from you, obviously. Like, from my
Yeah.
parents, right? Yeah, yeah. But then
I
why
was there when the cement was
already?
somewhat set. I was
Set.
not. Yeah,
But
I'm not
but
able
you
to.
know,
I could
okay,
maybe
not.
like scratch my name into the cement, but there's no way that I could
So we've talked about
change the cement's configuration.
We've talked about your parties, your memorable birthdays. Now, can you talk about the memorable times when you were wrong? I mean, you're not good at being wrong either, right? Because our kids aren't.
I think I have. I think I have a different relationship with being wrong than you do.
I would hope so.
I don't deny, and I don't. I beat myself up about being wrong, and I beat myself up about being wrong from almost the beginning. So my first reaction is not to convince myself that I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that I'm better than you. I'm just saying that,
No, I don't
that
care,
my
'cause-
relationship with being wrong is that I can remember a lot of instances of making mistakes, even from when I was 5 years old, that will come up and haunt me and reappear in my life and in my mind. And
See, I only remember 2 times when I was wrong from when I was little.
So I guess your method of, I mean, there's some kind of middle ground where you accept you're wrong when you are wrong instead of denying it, and then figuring out a way to not let it haunt you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, see, that's for me. That's the problem. Is just like, oh my God, I've made a mistake, and
But you forget about it after a while. Whereas for me, I probably could spend, I don't know, good part of my retirement just listing everything I did wrong in my life. But hopefully, maybe my memory. That's the problem. Is all that's what worries me. Is that the long
you're
term
gonna
memory?
forget all the stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna. forget all the good things that are happening in the short term, as you get more demented, as you get older, and then you're just going to remember all these long-term, things that you've seared into your brain, these failures. So that's a little worrisome.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's like old age is not going to save me from
the bad things.
My darkness. Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Sorry, everybody. It only took that took about a half hour to go that dark.
That what we learned in Taekwondo class was that memory memory is like subjective, like there's holes. Memory has lots and lots of holes, and if you're a happy person, you fill the memories with happy memories, and if you're a sad person, like if your experience is sad recently, then you remember your childhood as like sad, like you remember things differently.
Yeah, and I don't particularly remember my childhood as sad. I mean, I remember. Yeah, and so I have a mixed view of my whole life. I don't not positive or negative.
I hope you don't feel like you made a mistake marrying me. That's not one of the things.
No, it's not the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the time I was what did I do? Like I was in the hospital waiting room and I pointed at the kid who had the bloody towel on his head and I said to my mom, "Look at that." And she said, Don't do that.
And that kid probably still remembers you.
It's just like those little
tiny
moments, in your life that you feel like you did something wrong, and I just for some reason I remember all of those.
Oh, I remember. I can list you a couple of things that it's weird. Like last year, I was thinking about like a couple of like stupid things that I said.
Mm-hmm.
Like 80s or 90s, like 16 Candles type things, like, oh, that's a rape scene now, like things that you don't say now, but I said like pointed to a kid and stuff, but not, I wasn't 5, I was like probably 30 when I misspoke.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, and I make mistakes as an adult too.
Yeah, but I made a mistake, like, and I thought about it. I was like, God, I can't believe I said that. And I told our kid, hey, one day I said this, and the kid was like, oh my God, that's terrible. But I don't think about, like, I think about it now, but I was like, well, I made that mistake, and I'm not gonna, like, I'm not haunted by that. Like I used to be though. Like last year, maybe when you turn 56, you won't. You'll be like,
screw everybody. I don't need a mask. I'm not getting vaccinated.
But I mean, it's if you made it, it's like the mistake has been made, and it's time to move on or something like that. From it.
My kids aren't in public school anymore. Why should I pay taxes?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
just like that. 56.
It is a matter of time. It's like they say, right? It's not. If you'll become racist as you get older, it's just when.
When
right?
you become racist.
It's like when
you know what? Those people are always.
When you just slide out of, the mainstream, and become antiquated and don't progress and advance in your thinking.
So,
right?
like when I said "let those people die," like when I wanted to make
exactly.
I wanted to make a mask that says "let them die."
Yeah. For instance, it's already happened to you. Yeah. You've gone into the old age, not caring, being out of step with humanity, the progress.
If they want to die.
Let's not talk about that.
Okay.
Again.
All right.
It's better you don't talk.
Okay.
Grandma. let's talk about something else.
So I got, what? We can do it. Okay. Chris says, I think everyone has a list of those things we did and said, just a lot of people don't remember or have the conscience to regret or reconsider them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is I think there's research on, happy people and people who, feel good about themselves, and they have a very skewed vision of reality, which is basically anything that goes wrong in their lives is due to external forces, and anything that goes right is due to internal forces, right?
Happy people or rich people? I think those are rich people.
No,
not
necessarily.
People.
I mean, well, yeah, but people who are kind of healthy in that they don't beat themselves up and they aren't neurotic and everything like that. It's like they basically they take credit for things going well with them, even if it's not anything that they're able to control, and then they blame when something goes wrong externally.
Well,
so that's so if you're not that kind of person, you're just going to have to deal with
Well,
the world being more complex and you not always being happy with yourself or whatever.
yeah. Well, I guess so with the few, like the mistake that I made this week was to not publicize this event, this capoeira workshop. And as a band person, I should know the importance of publicizing events.
Did no one show up or?
No, I knew there would be a ton of people showing up.
So you did. So
I was
it
worried
fine.
there would be too many people.
You should worry about the event next Friday, which you haven't promoted yet.
No, so when it comes to promoted, I haven't promoted it. Jody, we've been waiting for a poster, and these are all reasons why I haven't promoted it.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I am not wanting to print out posters and tape them up on places because I feel like it's a waste of paper.
Yep.
For events that are happening at a university, I feel like nobody in their right mind would ever get off of their ass from playing their video games or being on their Facebook or Instagram or something. There's no reason to get off your ass to go watch somebody speak about about the field that you're going into. There's no reason to get off your ass and go have fun dancing and kicking with other people and playing music with other people. You need to be coerced into doing that by being offered free food. So, or it's a class, well, I have to take this class anyway because I paid for it. So that's why there were people, there were extra people at the capoeira workshop, which was fantastic. There were more people than there should have been. And it's nice when the classes are smaller. So it worked out fine, and I knew it would be fine, but it should have been publicized, and I was like, fuck, I know, I don't need to publicize it. I've got classes coming and I've got people coming already and stuff like that. But the publicizing would be to get the knowledge out that there's capoeira here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so that was a mistake. So, I finally accepted that. I was like, and then, instead of beating myself up about it, I was like, okay, well, I made a mistake. And I tried not to feel bad about it anymore. And I tried not to be angry at the person who told me I made a mistake,
Great.
Or I tried to accept that the person who told me I made a mistake was angry at me and just deal with the fact. And that's another problem that I have is like when I'm worried that people are angry at me, then it freaks me out. Like that happens with you too. I'm like, oh no, Rick is mad at me, or I did something wrong. Rick is sad. And sometimes you're just sad, I guess, and it has nothing to do with me. And then we have the argument about how, I'm making it all about me, your sadness, and then you can't be sad, and you just want to be sad. So, happy birthday.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? This is like, I'm 56 now, and I'm realizing like this, like I'm really attuned to whether or not somebody's pissed off at me or not. And like, sometimes there's really not much you can do about it, I guess, right? Sometimes you're just an asshole. Sometimes you have to accept that you're an asshole.
But also sometimes you've got to accept that you're holding the shovel.
Yeah, you're going to have to explain that to me. My metaphor brain is off now.
Well, like you're saying, is like I'm highly receptive to people being angry at me, and I'm reacting to that. But then you might be the one who's
making them angry, or
no.
Yeah,
You're
okay.
Just interpreting it that way.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Oh, so the person might not even be angry.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes, and I think that's very possible too. So, yeah, and now I had something else to say about all this. I can't remember. So, what are you gonna get with your gift card?
I don't know. There's a technology shortage, a supply.
That's right.
So, buying, electronics, musical stuff. Things are starting to be out of stock because apparently it's more important to get a chip for a car manufactured than a chip for a drum machine.
Can you just go over to Rivian and steal one?
Steal a car?
Steal a chip.
People are starting to see Rivians.
Yeah, people are. I saw Rivian today,
so
and
they
I waved
do
at the
exist,
guy.
everyone. I
Yeah.
don't know if they've actually shipped any to buyers yet, but they've definitely started running off of the assembly line, and they're starting to appear on the roads in town here. So
Well, does that mean that people who work at Rivian are driving them?
it's possible. Yeah, they could be doing test drives, or someone in the community did an early purchase because it's the town where the plant is in, right? And so people, I'm assuming people who have the money were pre-ordering, putting in purchases for the Rivian cars, and because they only have to be delivered, a block away
Yeah.
or a mile away, they're
you
going to
just-
show up.
just
And so
drive it over
the
there.
earliest people to get their deliveries are people who obviously signed up early, and then also live, within 10 miles of the factory.
Have you seen one?
I thought I saw one in the parking lot last night, but I couldn't tell. It's the strange headlights. And so I saw a pickup truck that had weird headlights in a parking lot, but I could not tell if we were driving by, so I couldn't tell if it was a Rivian or not. But no, I haven't seen one in the wild. We didn't go to the unveiling. They drove one around and had it in Uptown Normal last year or in the spring, but didn't go see it. I can't afford one. They're really fascinating, but
If
they're
Ethereum goes up, you can.
I don't think so.
Just see, like if
Again.
Ethereum goes up to like 5,000 a piece instead of 3,500 or whatever it is, then you would be able to afford.
When a
Rivian.
vehicle costs more than your yearly income, I think that's
How much are the Rivians?
they like start at 70,000 the
Oh,
pickups.
okay.
Yeah, it's insane.
Oh my God! It made me yawn.
And there's some funny stuff about how the F-150 electric pickup Ford trying to figure out how they're going to promote this without acknowledging that, well, just the fact that they have an electric pickup is going to be perceived by a large sector of their demographic for Ford pickups as a affront on their political sensibilities.
Yeah.
Right? And so trying to figure out how to market an electric truck to people who think an electric truck is
For gays.
is admitting
Communists.
that the planet, that humans are affecting the planet in a negative way. And please don't get me started. Yeah, I know electric cars still require fossil fuels.
Yeah. Oh, April Smith says last week they made a big to-do about their first customer getting theirs. Yeah.
I'm sure there's some
We heard
local
all
people
that.
getting them.
Okay.
Or they're just driving around. Yeah, they're doing test stuff now that it's out. They can do it, but I know the headquarters are in Michigan, so it's like in a lot of the testing. I think design testing was being done in Michigan. And so but they were also driving around. They were disguising, oddly enough, the Rivian pickups as F-150s when they were testing them. Also, they were like I think they took F-150 shells and put them on top of the wheelbase or something, and then when they were testing. So
April's saying they need an optional device to roll coal.
yeah.
Do you?
So there was
yeah.
a news story. I don't know if it was true, but about a guy on a bicycle who got hit by a pickup truck trying to roll coal.
And for those of you who don't know what rolling coal is, go ahead and why don't you?
Well, it's a modification of your engine so that you can flick a switch and then spew a bunch of black smoke out of your tailpipes or these exhaust pipes, so you can, it's to taunt people in electric cars and now apparently on bicycles. And so I was just reading an article by the Pew, ProPublica, and they were talking about Pew Research, and it's all about tribalism. It's just basically I guess it's obvious, but everything. So wearing a mask has nothing to do with logic or health. It's about identifying tribal identification. And so same thing with, driving an electric car, or, it's like it's tribalism. Now you can say, well, I'm driving an electric car. I don't feel like I'm being a tribalist person. It kind of doesn't matter if the other tribe decides that you don't represent, you're signifying as
I don't know why they're calling it tribes and not gangs.
Well, same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. And that's part of human culture, society. That's the way it's been for all of recorded history and before that, right?
Okay,
It's
so
you other people. That's how you win wars, how you get people to murder other people, right? In the name of war and everything like that is you say these people are not us. These are these abstract monstrosities, these tribalists, these people wearing these symbols that we don't tolerate. And that's so that explains a lot, but then it's like what do you do? How do you solve that problem, right?
So, it's really interesting. Like, what things are not like parts of tribes? I was just trying to think while you were saying that. Like, okay, and did masks really? Did that need to happen? Did it need to happen that masks became a political statement?
No, it didn't need to happen, but
I mean, but in America, because then I was thinking, okay, well, because I used to say like, yeah, I don't want to wear this bra. I this bra is holding my breasts and I'm not free. I wanted to make a statement like that, and then have the other person say, well, of course you need to wear a bra, you asshole, but you don't need to wear a mask. Like I was like trying to think of that, but bras are also a symbol, right? People will go braless to,
yeah.
right? So glasses, like there's fashion too, right? So but you got Republicans and Democrats and libertarians and whatever else there is wearing glasses. People wear glasses, right? That's to help them see, but because you need to be able to see.
But that's changed, and I mean, it was pretty. When I got my glasses in first grade, it was pretty weird.
Oh, yeah, people would make 4 eyes. Yeah, so there was, all right, so glasses are not a good,
I talked about this in my grad seminar a while ago, and it was like, well, maybe it's less, and they're saying, like some of the students were saying, well, now glasses are, a fashion item, and then they're more comfortable also. And then I also said, but also possibly, what's valued in the world now, right? And so being a computer person or technical and all those things, those are starting to be more valued, and the idea of having glasses is associated with being a nerd or technical or smart or whatever, and it's just kind of like white collar versus blue collar, right? In the same way that like having a tan was considered lower class when everyone was working outside, and it's like the rich people were pale, and then it switched, whereas like everybody's working inside in factories and offices, and the people who are tan are the people who can afford to hang out outside and go on vacations and everything like that, right? So then all of a sudden it became a symbol of being high class, right? And so all those kind of perceptions change totally based on what the society values, right, or what's considered valuable, right? And so yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this, but the mask thing didn't have to be a dividing issue or tribal symbol, but it was chosen to be, right? And people within one of the tribes decided that this is a symbol.
It's a face diaper.
This is what divides us from them, and people in power, Tucker Carlson specifically, right? Just really leaned into it. And so if you have your leaders, that's the way it works. The tribal leaders are going to define what's important and define what symbols, So the only positive aspect of this, again, is like talking about pop stars and, popularity and everything like that. At least now it's getting to the point where it gets so atomized that maybe there are not enough, jerks to, have power over a large enough group of people to destroy and take over or start a war. We'll see. Yeah, because the Civil War, maybe we won't have that Civil War everyone thinks we're going to have. It's because it's just too small of a segment of the population to actually do anything. They think they can, right? They think they can fucking go to the Capitol and carry around symbols or carry around tools of assassination and hanging, right? And what's and they think they can get away with it, and then all of a sudden they get shut down and they get arrested and they go to jail, right? And they get their lives ruined. It's like, oh shit, we're not as powerful as we think we are, right? So maybe that's the thing, is that it is all just bullshit.
What else? How are you teaching this stuff in your grad seminar? Are they reading a book or
theory stuff? So talking about I don't know what it would have been when we were talking about glasses. Probably just culture and symbolism. How the rules are made, even if you don't think there are rules, right? We all live according to all these parameters, and regulations and rules and systems that have been built up. And even if we don't see them and acknowledge them or understand them, they're there, right? And we're following them, that kind of stuff. You know, commie stuff, progressive socialist thinking, critical thinking.
Critical thinking theory.
Yeah, just critical thinking.
Are you teaching critical race theory?
I am not, but it's like critical thinking, which is probably the most dangerous thing for, you know, people who hold power through ignorance, the ignorance of their constituencies, right? Critical thinking is very dangerous.
I went to when I went to get my ear pierced yesterday, because I got my first clear mammogram, or my first, we're not worried about anything we found here right now, mammogram. That's what it said. It's like, we're not worried about anything we found. Good job. So I got the top of my ear pierced, and the woman who was doing the piercing was just, you know, like, the Republicans are like, all they're concerned about is pedophilia. What the hell is that? Why do they keep talking about pedophilia and stuff? You know, and then you hear the school board meetings and stuff, and you know, I think I'm going to have to go to a school board meeting the next time to protect our child who's been documenting them. And actually, we should have him down here and talk about, like, he had to turn over some videotape to the authorities, right? To authorities, because people were having death threats, right?
I guess.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know too much about it, but yeah, guess he had
but anyway,
videotaped
the woman
meeting.
the woman was just like, why do they keep talking about that? And I was like, well, because they want you to think. And she's like, they keep saying the Democrats are pedophiliacs, but I don't. Is that how you say that? Like, but I don't.
So.
I don't know any Democrats who do that.
Yeah, no, it's
just
again
Republicans talking about it. And I'm like, oh,
demonizing.
That's what I said in so many words. I was like, well, they don't want you to vote. They want people to vote against the Democrats, and they're not going to be able to do it unless they scare them. And she was like, oh, you're right.
Fear is more powerful than common sense and critical thinking and
exactly.
Yeah,
and
logic.
It's a really well, you know, if you vote for a Democrat, your child is going to have a dick up his ass. You know, like, you better, or your little girl is going to be violated. So, but it was fun to get my ear pierced. It was really I've got 3 piercings on my right side, on just like right by the lobe and stuff. And then I have only one piercing on the left side. And I'm not one of these piercing people or anything like that yet. This is
what's the count? When do you become a piercing person?
When you have more than 3 in one ear, I think.
Okay, so how many do you have in one ear?
Only 3. That's the limit.
I have,
and then I have 2 on this ear now. But it was really, you know, she prepped me. She got me all. She like washed the fuck out of my ears, like really washed it, and it's called a helix piercing. I had to look it up. And she just like took a needle and like a spear, and she's like, okay, take a deep breath and then exhale. And when you exhale, that's when I'm going to push it through. And I was like, okay. And she's like, you know, like when I exhaled, she just went like, and it felt like cutting through a potato or something. It was so neat.
Barely deal with this.
It was the best. It was a really interesting feeling. I loved it. It was really cool, and it didn't hurt. It hurt a little bit, but then I was like really bummed out that it didn't hurt. Now the ear that I got, this ear hurt a lot. Yeah. Because the woman was like trying to push it through, but this was just like, this woman must be a really good piercer or something. Yeah. So now I have a little stud in the top of my ear, and it doesn't hurt at all. It's really strange. I'm waiting for it to hurt. It's cartilage. It's supposed to hurt. And either I have a very high tolerance of pain, which I don't think I do, or it's lies. Everybody should get the top of their ear pierced. But anyway, so I wanted to talk about that. Was really fun. But now I'm like, well, what else should I get pierced? But I won't.
Anybody have any solutions on what to do once we don't have Facebook? Like, how are we going to tell people about rock shows? And
Instagram.
So my problem is I don't understand how people know about stuff without this monster that's taken
Facebook
over everything.
monster.
Yeah,
The Twitter, perhaps.
Twitter. So okay, that monster is how you promote stuff.
I repeat this. I haven't read a book since 2005. I mean, and it's not true. I've read books, but I've, MySpace, April is saying.
MySpace, yeah, okay. That's all we need.
Well,
Return
it
of
was
MySpace.
out. There was like an outage, right, for 5 hours or something. What did people
Yeah.
do then? People, all I know is that when people came back, they were talking about the outage.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know this, but I think it was because it happened when I was in class, so I have a personal outage anyway, so.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, there's 5 minutes left. How come we have nothing to say?
I usually, make some notes about things that have happened. I'm trying to think of anything else that happened since.
Our students are really depressed, like pedophiles. You're right. Yes, thanks, Spiro. It's not pedophiliacs like celiac. It's pedophiles. Yeah, I didn't even know the correct. That's how tired I am. What happened? What happened? Our students are really sad this week.
Yeah,
Like,
midterms
students are
are tough.
freaking out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
midterm grades. So it's tough.
And I'm reminding myself again that I stand up there for an hour and 15 minutes and I talk. And you shouldn't talk for that long. And I probably don't talk for that long, but they really do only hear 80, like if you're lucky, 80% of what you say.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, if you're lucky, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's certain things that I have to tell every student. I have to say it over and over and over again because they didn't hear it. So you may be saying so you're like, all you have to do is follow along with me, and then you'll have an A in the class. But they don't hear. They're not able to hear everything that you've said.
And that's because you have to wear a mask.
Yeah. Once the face diaper is over, then it's good. So that happened. I got my ear pierced. What happened to you? What have you been watching? You must have 3 minutes of something you've been watching.
I watched the 3rd season of Killing Eve from last year. Never watched that. It was okay.
And you're going to go see, what is it called? Octopussy 21 or something? The
Doctor, what did you call it? Dr. Pussy?
Dr. Pussy. Dr. Pussy. That's my James Bond movie is Dr. Pussy. I love that. Was that the name? Yeah, because we had a good laugh about that. And why you guys didn't want me to come see it because you didn't want to feel bad, right?
Well, no, I gave you plenty of opportunities to say yes, you wanted to go, but I feel like sitting with you watching a 2 hour and possibly, I think it might be 2 hour and 45-minute James Bond film. It's like, however good or bad it's going to be, it would be worse to have you suffering through it and just be like, ugh, I can't believe I'm here for 3 hours watching this drivel.
Yeah, and you'd have to catch me up because I haven't ever seen one James Bond movie. I saw the one with all the women in it, but no, I didn't. I didn't see any. I've not seen. I don't think I've seen one. Maybe I saw one.
Octopussy. I haven't even seen Monopussy yet. Yeah, and so it's coming out on my birthday.
Oh, it's coming out today.
Yeah. I mean, I could have seen it. It actually was in the theater Wednesday night, I think. But
Matrix 4.
It's it just seemed like something the boys would.
Oh, they're
would
so
enjoy.
excited! Yeah, that's going to be wonderful. It's going to be a wonderful night tonight. You guys are going to watch that, and then bring me home some popcorn, and I'm going to go out for dinner for your birthday. I'm just going to be sitting in the Korean restaurant. They're going to be like, "What's the occasion?" I'll be like, "It's my husband's birthday."
I imagine you sitting at a empty a table in an empty restaurant, and you're looking at a Vogue magazine, and you have a cigarette, right?
Yeah, that's
and
me.
you got a glass of wine.
And a glass of wine and a beehive haircut, right?
I'm thinking more like 70s kind of thing.
But wouldn't I have a beehive haircut in the 70s? I'd be like,
you'd be like
be out of touch.
You'd be out of. You'd be like
What's her name in After
Terry
Hours?
Garr in
Yes.
After Hours as
Yeah.
opposed to Rosanna Arquette. Okay, I get it.
Oh, do you think of me more as Rosanna Arquette in After Hours?
No, who would you be?
Who am I in After
You're
Hours?
Catherine O'Hara.
Great. Yeah, you're probably
It's
right.
not a joke.
Yeah, and
Driving
you're,
a Mr. Softy truck. It's
who
not a
are
joke.
you?
I'm
Is
Horst.
that
That's a little joke for After Hours fans. I'm Horst.
well,
You know what
Jody
your
was-
problem is?
What?
Lack of discipline.
That's yeah. Okay, it's him, right? Yeah. That's not
That's
you.
not me
You're
at all.
you're
I'm
Griffin
the
Dunn.
bartender. No,
Yeah,
I'm
you
the
are
bartender.
you are the bartender. Okay, look, I'm going to give you my keys to a person who I
Whoa,
can't,
wait a minute. I don't even know you. Listen.
That movie is terrible. You know why I hate that movie? I'll tell you why. Because I feel like those are my people and they're being made fun of.
Yeah.
I feel like this other person is having a nightmare in what should be a perfectly normal like the a subculture, but this person is having a nightmare in it. You know, it makes me sad.
Yeah, because you'd visit New York City, before Giuliani cleaned it up and ruined it.
Yeah.
Right? And it felt like if you didn't have to live there, it really felt amazing and romantic and like you're living on the edge kind of stuff. And even just being there for a day or two when you'd play a show,
At
next to a bunch
CBGB's.
of next to a bunch of homeless men and have to worry about your van being stolen. I mean, it was really romantic, kind of like punk rock
Yeah.
city, living in the city kind of romantic that really, yeah.
Walking around that
Yeah,
area there.
in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And, strange people. Yeah. Before New York became some kind of weird
Although I was
version
just
of Epcot or whatever, or Disneyland.
next time you need to go to Harlem, and Mestre's Academy is not there anymore, so I think it's unfortunate. But like I was walking around Harlem like just a couple of years ago, like in the middle of the night, and just even during the day, it felt like that. It was like
the real
oh my
New York.
God,
Yeah.
wow, this
Yeah.
is so cool. Yeah,
Kind
so
of electric.
vibrant. Yeah. So yeah, and you don't want to think that somebody's having a nightmare in that.
Well, it makes you feel better that you didn't live in New York in the 1980s.
Oh, I don't need anything to make me feel better that I didn't live in New York in the 1980s. I don't I will never live in a big city. Ugh. Are you looking forward to Matrix 4? Yeah, this is a good question for you.
For me?
Yes, it must be complicated for you.
Well, yeah, considering the first time we saw Matrix and it was on tour.
It was.
We're on tour.
Yeah.
And then like a Sunday we had off or something. We went, or maybe it was just an afternoon before a show and we went to see The Matrix and I absolutely hated it. I was like, ugh, this is like what people think the future looks like. And it's like, I hated
was
it. I didn't like
complaining
the aesthetics of it.
Yeah.
I didn't like anything
Yeah.
of it. I thought like there were a bunch of other good movies, whatever year that was, that were better. But I grew, it was the sort of virtual reality era. There were a couple of virtual reality films. Although Existenz is later, isn't it? I always, favor Existenz.
We love Existence.
But
Did
I
you-
grew to like it. I grew to like it and accept it, and as it became part of the culture, right? It was like, it is not as I watched it, I didn't dislike it as much.
What do you accept about it?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
When you tell somebody,
I think
Yeah.
I accepted that, okay, it's a commercial film. It's just like the frickin' what's his name Batman movies, Tim Burton Batman movies, where it was just like, ugh. Like I wanted the Tim Burton Batman movies to be like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, and then by the time the Christopher Nolan Batman movies came out, I was like, ugh, this is what the Tim Burton movies should have been like. It didn't feel like cutting edge to me, and so. But it's accepting pop culture and the fact that it, mainstreamed a lot of those ideas. And it's like, okay, this is a mainstream movie. I can't, be a complete snob about it.
all right, so I understand now why you can't be a complete snob about it, but you went off onto Christopher Nolan and Batman movies, and you didn't tell me what, like, I want you to tell me, like, what redeeming qualities, The Matrix has. And we won't talk about the second and third matrices.
Redeeming qualities. What? Guido the Killer Pimp. What's his name?
Yeah, so you like the actor?
Yeah.
You like the character?
Yeah, it was nice seeing him again.
Okay. He dies, right? Doesn't he? I think.
I feel bad that I've forgotten his name.
The story.
The fact that they pitched this film and got the funding for it, as independent filmmakers, had made a small film, and then they spent a huge amount of time basically making a graphic novel, to pitch the film, as a storyboard, but they, spent a year or two, storyboarding this in a really intense kind of comic book way, and were able to get the funding for it and pull it off. I think it's an amazing feat. It's an amazing story of, pulling off an original science fiction film. I mean, and yeah, you can complain, it's not 100% original, but the fact is that it was a new franchise, and so that's that. All that
New franchise. Okay, yeah, these are valid. Yeah,
but then obviously, I think that was the most impressive thing that they did, right? I haven't felt any real excitement about their other pictures.
So I'm looking forward to Dune in like I just because, and I'm resigned to the fate that it's gonna, I won't say it's gonna suck. I'll say it's gonna be better than the other Dune.
It's only gonna be as good as the source material, so that's a pretty low bar.
You never even read. Did you read? You didn't read the whole book.
No, of course not. I got through the first page or two, and was like,
the book is good.
Yeah,
the book is good. You
Keep
just didn't like it because women were in charge.
That's right.
And political.
Do you know that within the first page or two?
No, you have to read a couple more pages.
Yeah,
Eisenstein.
Yeah,
but,
I'm probably going to be the only person who enjoys the movie because it's going to be. I'm going to be like, I haven't read the book. I have no emotional investment in it being good. And I'll be like...
Speed Racer didn't do anything for you?
Yeah. Speed Racer, I totally forgot about that. I was thinking about...
Oh, my God.
V for Vendetta and stuff like that. But Speed Racer, wow, man, that was... Yeah. I think I saw that on an airplane without the sound. I think I may have been watching it over someone's shoulder, not even bothering to listen, which is unfair. But it was just like, okay, I don't think... This doesn't... Yeah, I don't think... I'm gonna like this.
Have you done a Lost, Found, and Rewound on Existence?
No.
Are you thinking of it, or that's
I
over?
I don't think so.
Ship sailed.
We may be doing some special episodes that aren't
love
about
you.
movies.
Love you. Maybe I'll watch that. Well.
All right.
Yeah. So you know what I'm going to do tonight? While you guys are out seeing a man movie, I'm going to watch some old kung fu movies, some Shaw Brothers.
Some ladies films.
Yeah.
Lady kung fu.
I will do that. Not lady kung fu. All kung fu is lady kung fu.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good week or two.
Yeah, we'll write down stuff next time. We'll have things to talk about.
The royal we.
We. You. Happy birthday, Rick.